Yeah, okay. Once again, welcome to the class. So, basics of income tax. So, I will teach you as if you are a new student, as if you don't know anything. Even if you have learned, it's very good. And I'm going to open you the new ways of teaching you. Okay. So, basics of income tax. In this, our agenda for today is we're going to learn about the first of all, I'll give you the brief introduction of income tax. Then I'm going to start with the definitions of previous year, assessment year, and person total income, tax liability, tax revenue receipts, and capital receipts. And by this, I'll go in a flow. I'll start with one brief introduction. Once if it is done, I'm going to start with the advanced concepts. So whatever I'll teach you in the class, it's more than sufficient. And if you understand the class very well, it is more than enough. No need to go for any other resources. And whatever I'm going to teach you in the class, it's more than enough. And from this topic, you're going to expect one MCQ of 2 marks. Even in the exam, each and every mark is important to us. So keeping in that mind, if you listen carefully, it is very easy to score 2 marks as well. And if you attend very carefully, then I'm sure you're going to get 2 marks of this chapter as well. Okay. So I'm going to start with introduction of income tax. So income tax. So most of the people are having doubt. It is the income tax. So I'll start with each and every word. Income Tax Act 1961. So I'm going to go step by step everything. Okay. Income tax. So Hindi mein, okay. I will revise you at the end of the class. I will revise in Hindi as well. It's no problem. But first, we will write exam in English now. So I'll first teach in English. Then for simplifying the language, I'll make you understand Hindi as well. So we can go in both the languages as well. Those who are Hindi, no need to worry. I'll explain you in Hindi as well. Okay. Mm. So in the examination, we're going to write in English. So I'm going to start. I'm going to teach you in a very simple English. No need to confuse further. I'm going to explain in Hindi as well. Okay. So Income Tax Act 1961. So it is a revenue-based tax. What is it? The first point, it is a revenue. For whom it is revenue? It is revenue to the government. So there are n number of acts we have in Income Tax Act, Companies Act, Labor Code. We have new Factories Act as well, and Industry Act as well, Wages Act. There are so many acts. Among all these acts, if there is any act which changes every year, that is Income Tax Act. Income tax is such an act which is going to change every year because of its revenue, because of changing because of the government view, depending upon the government's policies, it will change every year. So it is a revenue based tax. What it is? It is a revenue based. So it is important to learn. So tomorrow we are all going to become cost accountants. So we are going to have the income for sure. How we are going to show our income, how we are going to deal with those things, that also we can learn in the Income Tax Act 1961. So I hope till now, is it clear? If anybody is having any doubt, please raise your hand, or anything is, my voice is striking or anything, have any problem, you can send me the chart as well. I hope it is clear. Okay. Is my own. Okay. Okay, fine. So I'm going to start from very basic income. But remember, it is an Income Tax Act 1961. It is not an expense tax. So it is an income. So one of the primary thing when as a student you will get confused is it is an income. You're going to tax on income, not on expense. Okay, it is simple. It is an income tax. You're going to tax on income. It is a tax on income, not an expense tax. For example, you're going to spend some expenses. It is not an, you're not going to tax on expense. It is a tax on income. Okay. You all know income, and further I'm going to explain about income in various topics. Okay, next tax. I'm going to explain about the tax. What is tax now? So tax is a compulsory contribution. What tax is? It's a compulsory contribution. What it is? It's a compulsory contribution by the government for what? For the public welfare. Okay. For example, we are in the COVID-19. I'm going to give an example. In the COVID-19, and in the government has provided the free vaccines to everyone. How the revenue comes from? Where the government has its own bank? No. Where the government can bring the funds? The government can bring the funds from the taxes. Among all the taxes, income tax also one of the tax. Okay. So it's a compulsory contribution on which it is imposed by the government. You cannot avoid it. So I don't want to pay the income tax. No, it's a compulsory contribution by everyone. As a citizen of India, you're going to pay the tax. Okay. I hope you understand the definition of the tax. Now, broadly, we are going to have the two types of taxes. One is direct tax. Second one is indirect tax. So direct tax, it is a burden on same person. You're going to have the burden. For example, if it is a direct tax, that means if my direct tax is nothing but it's my income. On my income, I am going to pay the tax. Means burden is on me. For example, it is my income tax. My brother, my father, my sister cannot pay the tax. On my income, I am going to pay the tax. So that means direct tax is a burden on same person. Direct tax burden cannot be shifted. If it is shifted, then it is not going to be direct tax. It is going to be some other tax. Okay. So on the direct tax, burden is on the same person. Burden in the sense I am going to pay the tax on my income. So that is direct, and it cannot be shifted, and it is levied on the income. On the income, you're going to pay the tax. For example, I'm going to pay the income of 12. I'm going to earn the income of 12 lakhs. Then I'm going to pay the tax on 12 lakhs. So it is simple. It is a income tax. Okay. I hope it is clear. I'm going to explain to the concept on very, as if you guys don't know anything. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to discuss indirect tax, how it is different from the direct tax. So I can say that the burden on, if there is a burden is going to shift on another person, then it is going to be called as indirect tax. Indirect tax, the burden is going to shift on the another person, another consumer. For example, you are going to a shop, then you are going to pay the tax. You're going to pay the you're going to, for example, you're going to a shop, you're going to buy a particular packet or anything. On that, you're you're indirectly paying the tax, not directly, indirectly. You go to shop and you say that buy a 10 rupee ka kurkure packet de do. That means you're going to ask, please give me the kurkure packet of 10 rupees. On 10 rupees, you're not going to pay the tax directly. You're indirectly going to pay the tax. For example, if the kurkure packet is 8 rupees, on those additionally 2 rupees is going to ask is going to ask tax from us. And supplier, I mean, who is supplying to us kurkure is going to pay the tax. It is simple. Indirect tax, the burden is shifting. Okay. The burden is shift to the consumer. It is an indirect tax, and it is levied on the goods or services. Unless direct tax is levied on a person and individual's income, whereas indirect tax is levied on the goods or services. For example, in indirect taxes, we are going to have the GST, we are going to have the customs. So all these things we are going to have on the indirect tax. I'll repeat it again. So what is tax? Tax is a compulsory contribution imposed by the government. For what? For welfare activities. Okay. And we are going to have the two types of taxes. One is direct tax and indirect tax. On direct tax, the burden is on same person, whereas on indirect tax, the burden is going to be shifted. If my if my if you say that I'm going to shift my tax, then you're going to talk about indirect tax. If my burden is not going to shift, then it is a direct tax. It's simple. Now let us if you want to tax anything, you're going to have a legal authority. On, for example, who will give legal authority to collect tax? Our constitution gives us legal authority to collect tax. Article 265. It's important from MCQ point of view. Article 265 is saying that no tax can be levied without the authority of law. Article 265, no tax can be levied without the authority of law. Means Article 265 gives the power to income tax to levy the tax. Okay. And further, the Constitution has given on Schedule 7. On Schedule 7, there are three types of powers has given. These are broadly categorized into union list, state list, and concurrent list. And it is important from the MCQ point of view. So that's why I'm emphasizing on this point, these points. Uh, First of all, who has given income tax to collect the tax? It is Article 265. The Indian Constitution has given the authority to collect the tax because I'm an individual. I'm eligible to collect the tax. No, for it to collect the tax, you should be a you should have a right provision to it. So who has given the power? The Constitution has given a power to collect the tax. Okay, and further it is divided into three parts: union list, state list, and concurrent list. On union list, it is list given by the central government. State list, it is agriculture. I mean, state is going to decide. Concurrent list is nothing but both the state government and central government. Both are going to decide about the legislative powers. I hope it is clear. Okay, what I have discussed till now about the tax, what is the meaning of the tax, and what are the different types of taxes that we are going to have, direct tax and indirect tax, and how on constitution, how is depending upon the constitution, how we are going to levy the tax, whether union list, whether state list and concurrent list, all these things we are discussed here. Okay, and further, there are different types of sources of income tax. First one is Income Tax Act 1961. When I say that we are going to discuss about Income Tax Act 1961, we are not only discussing about Income Tax 1961, we are also going to discuss about Income Tax Rules 1962, about Finance Act and circulars, notifications, and judicial decision. I'm going to discuss each and every topic in detail. Okay. So as of now, it's okay. And further, what is the Finance Act that is applicable as of now? The Finance Act 2025 is applicable. Finance Act 2025 is applicable for us. And the rules, the Income Tax Act 1961 doesn't has given the provision, whereas rules are given in the Income Tax Rules 1962. So I'm going to discuss in detail about income tax law structure again. Before that, I'm going to give you some of the topics which are important from the examination point of view as well as which is important to understand from the law point of view as well. So I'm going to discuss the basic legal terminology. First definition that I'm going to discuss is previous year. What is previous year? So in simple words, previous year is nothing but the year in which income is earned. You have to remember the year in which the income is earned. For example, if for every business the previous year is not going to be same. For example, if my business is going to start on, okay, before giving that example, I'm going to explain what is previous year very clear. Previous year is nothing but the year in which the income is earned. For example, on 1st April to 31st March. Okay. Our exam point of view, the previous year is 25-26. Okay. This thing you have to remember. The previous year is 25-26. On 1st April 2025 to 31st March 2026 is the previous year for all of you. Okay. So forget this. So previous year is 25-26. Okay. Previous year is nothing but the year in which we can earn the income. That is previous year. Next, what is assessment year? The assessment year is nothing but the year in which income is taxed. Means it is on that the taxable income, the which income we are going to tax. It is known as assessment. I mean, assessment is nothing but verification, checking. The income which we earned in the previous year 25-26 that we are going to assess. Okay. When we are going to assess, we are going to assess in the next year. The next year is known as assessment year. I hope you guys have the clarity. Assessment year is nothing but the year in which income is taxed. When the income is on which income the income is taxed, the income is taxed depending upon the previous year income. On previous year income, next year we're going to tax. What is the next year is called? The next year is called assessment year. Don't worry, I'm going to give the examples very elaboratively. For example, as you have to remember, very simple. Then when we earn the income, it is known as previous year. When we are going to tax, is known as assessment year. The income which you are going to earn in a particular year, that year is known as previous year. Okay. The income on which we are going to pay the tax year is known as here assessment year. Okay. For example, if I say that my previous year is 24-25, then my assessment year is going to be 25-26. It is clear. For example, if my previous year is 25-26, if my previous year is 25-26, then what is my assessment year is going to be? My assessment is going to be 26-27. Okay. So these are going to be previous year and assessment year. Okay. This is the most important from the examination point of view. So I'm going to give one example, one MCQ as well. Before that, I'm going to give in-depth examination and once again. Okay. I'll give in a one, as you can see on my screen. Yeah. As you can see on my screen, in one image, you can see the what is previous year and what is assessment year. For example, my previous year is 25-26, my assessment year is 26-27. Okay. This year, the previous year is nothing but we are going to earn income. On 25-26, we are going to earn income. For example, I'm going to earn the income of 10 lakhs. On this 10 lakhs, when I'm going to pay the tax? It's a simple question. When I'm going to pay the tax? That is, when I'm going to pay the taxes, I'm going to pay the tax in assessment year. Okay. Previous year is nothing but the year in which we earn the income. Whatever the income it is, whether it is salary income, business income, what type of income it is, the income which I earn is known as, and which I earned, it is previous year, on which I'm going to pay the tax is assessment year. Okay. These are very important from the examination point of view. I'm going to give an MCQ as well to solve for you guys. Okay. Okay, this is examination question. Income earned in previous year 24-25 is taxed in. For example, if my previous year is 24-25, then what is going when I'm going to tax? Okay, it's my question. If any of you know the answer, you can send in chat section as well. I'm going to see your chat. Okay, very good. So I'm going to tax in assessment year. Okay. What is my assessment year? If previous year is 24-25, my assessment year is going to be 25-26. Yeah, very good. I think Suga, you have answered very well. It's a correct answer, 25-26. So if my previous year is 24-25, then my assessment year is going to be 25-26. Okay. When we are going to tax, we are going to tax in assessment year. Assessment year is the year after the previous year. That is previous year 24-25. Then assessment year is going to be 25-26. Okay. Now next important question, that is previous year always begins on. It is important question. What is the answer for this? There are four options. Previous year always begins on. Option A, 1st January. Option B, 1st April. Option C, 31st March. Option D, then any date. Okay, Suga, you have answered. It is 1st April. Previous year can be changed or not. Okay. For example, if my business year, I started my business on 1st April. Wait one second. I started my business on 1st April. Sorry. I started my business on 1st April, 1st August 2025, for example. Then what is going to be my previous year? What is going to be my previous year? It's question. If my business is already starting on 1st August 2025, that means my previous year is going to start from 1st August. Okay. So previous year can be any date. For the previous year, generally on 1st April. For the newly started business, the previous year is the date on commencement. When the business is going to start, that is going to be previous year. Generally, previous year is, as Suga said, it is 1st April. Okay, no doubt. For the newly started business, the previous year is the date of commencement of the business. I hope it is clear. If you understand, just give the thumbs up. Otherwise, I'll repeat it again. Okay. Okay. So I have discussed you about the previous year. In the newly started, for example, if the newly started business, my previous year is going to be the date of commencement. This point you have to remember from the MCQ point of view. Okay. Income of the previous year of a person is charged to tax in the immediately following assessment year. Okay. You know that I will discuss about the income. I have discussed about previous year. What is previous year for our exam point of view? Previous year is 25-26. And what is my assessment year is going to be? Assessment year is going to be 26-27. Previous year is nothing but the year on which income is earned. Assessment year is nothing but immediately after the next period. Okay. Okay. So previous year and assessment year, I have discussed it already. Previous year is nothing but it is we are going to earn the income. And assessment year also I said assessment year is going to be 26-27. Now let us discuss the definition of the person. Okay. Who is person according to the Income Tax Act 1961? Person is going to be individual, person is going to be HUF, person is going to be company, and person is going to be firm, LLP, AOP, BOI, local authority, artificial judicial person. This is the definition given as per the Income Tax Act 1961. Who is the person? We'll discuss each and every concept in detail. Who is individual? Individual can be normal human beings. For example, in the meeting, everyone is there. You as a human being, for example, Suga is an individual. She is going to be a person. For example, some other person, Mr. X, is also going to be individual. Okay. All these things are your all belongs to individual category known as natural person or individuals. Next one, HUF. HUF are Hindu undivided family. Hindu undivided family is nothing but from from the years you- you're going to do a business as a family. Hindu undivided family further divided into Mitakshara and Dayabaga. I'm not going to discuss further regarding this. Hindu undivided family is nothing but it is a family form of business which is done from the ancestral point of view. In the sense, my father, great grandfather, and me. This type of family type of business are known as HUF. And company is nothing but it is easy to identify. Company is nothing but it is artificial person. At the end of the word, you are going to have the limited. Reliance Public Company Limited. So if it is a private company, you're going to say private limited. Okay. I hope it is clear. Next one, firm LLP also there. Firm and LLP also, it is a person which is considered under the Income Tax Act. What is the importance of this definition of a person under the Income Tax Act 1961? What is the importance of the person? Because who is going to pay the tax? It's a person. Okay. Income of the previous year of a person is charged to tax in the immediately following assessment year. So we are going to discuss who is going to pay the tax. Tax is paid by the person. Now, who is the person? Person is individual, HUF, company, AOP, BOI, local authority, and artificial judicial person. Okay. AOP is nothing but association of the person. If individual HUF, they can be AOP, yes, they can be. And body of individuals. Body of individual is nothing but Mr. X and Mr. Y. They are two person. They can be body of individual, yes. For example, local authority. Local authority is nothing but uh, municipal corporation. For example, Tamil Nadu Municipal Corporation, Mumbai Municipal Corporation. All these things are going to come under local authority. Next one, artificial judicial person. This can be also particular type of person on which income is going to be taxed. I'm holding this point. I'm going to discuss it. Before that, I'm going to discuss one MCQ from our institute material so that you will have a better clarity. So this is from our ICMA material only. You can download from the ICMAI.in. Okay. From this, I'm going to teach each and every concept from this module. Okay. In this, I'm going to start the illustration one. Okay. This is the perfect example that I can discuss with you. So you have to determine, you should not see the answers. So you have to determine the person. Okay. Okay. So it's a Howrah Municipal Corporation. What it is? I said any municipal corporation, it comes under the local authority. For example, it is Mumbai Municipal Corporation. Tamil Nadu Municipal Corporation, Telangana Municipal Corporation. All this comes under the local authority. And Corporation Bank Limited. What is end of the word? What is there? Limited. Limited comes under the company. Mr. Amitabh Bachchan. Who is Amitabh Bachchan? Is an individual. Okay, is an individual. And Amitabh Bachchan Corporation Limited. Again, the word limited. When you see the word limited, you have to understand it's a company. Okay. Next one. Joint family of Sriram, Srimati Ram, and their son-in-law, Love and Kush. Okay. Joint family. When I say joint family, you have to remember HUF. Next one, Calcutta University. Any type of university that comes under artificial judicial person. Means as per judicial, they're going to be person. For example, Kakati University from Telangana and Madras University. There are different types of university that we have. All this comes under the artificial judicial person, that is AJP. Okay. For example, X and Y. The both are person. They're legal heirs of Z. Then they can be called, there are two types of individuals. So that's why they are going to be called as body of individuals. Okay. Next one, sole proprietor business. In the sole proprietor type of business, only one person is there. So that's why it is an individual. Okay. Next one, partnership kind of business. Only one person. There are two persons. It is called as firm. I hope it is clear the definition of assessing. If you have any doubts, you can ask. Or you can post me in chat section as well if you have any doubts. I hope we are good to go. Okay, thank you for confirmation. Okay. So till now, what I have discussed? I have discussed about the income tax, the basic provisions, what is direct tax and what is indirect tax, and what is the difference between direct tax and indirect tax, who has given the power to tax, and what are the different types of sources that we have, that we are going to read. When I say the Income Tax Act, you're going to read about Income Tax Act 1961, Income Tax Rule 1962, Finance Act, Circulars, Judicial. All these things you're going to read. Then after I have discussed with you important terminology regarding the previous year and assessment year. What is previous year and what is assessment year? You can expect one MCQ from this. Next one, I have given you. Then I have given you one assessment, one MCQ also to solve this. Then after I have discussed you what is the person, and I made you to solve the MCQs. I made you to solve the one sum from the study material as well. Okay. Next, I'm going to discuss the important definition of assessing. Okay. This is a terminology you're going to write. Who is assessee? Assessee is nothing but who pays tax. Who pays tax means, just now I said all this person, whoever I discussed in the person definition, all this person are liable to pay the tax. Whose income is assessed, who deemed assessee and assessee in default. This concept I'm going to explain in further classes. Okay. As of now, remember, an individual can be assessee, HUF can be assessee, company can be assessee. So any person can become assessee, right? Who are all liable to pay the tax, they are going to become the assessee. Okay. As of now, okay, I will stop the class here and please join the live link again. So I have discussed till uh, assessee. So as of now, remember who is assessee. Assessee is nothing but any person who is liable to pay the tax. For example, if I am the person, I'm going to pay the tax. Am I going to be assessee? Yes. I'm going to be the assessee. 1 second. Yeah. Assessee is nothing but any person who is liable to pay the tax. I'm going to recap everything. As of now, I have explained you regarding the definition of the person. I made you to solve the one question from the study mat as well. I have discussed you with the previous year and assessment year with the example that have been asked in the examination as well. Then after I have discussed you about some basic terminology and we are in progress. Okay. Okay. Just for your reference, I'm going to walk through from your study material so that you guys can have idea. Okay. This is the study material. 1 second. Yeah. The screen is visible, right? Hmm. Okay. Just wait a minute. It is. Okay. So today I started with the basics of income tax. Okay. I have discussed some of the basic concepts. Next class, I'm going to discuss about the basis of charge and revenue concept. If possible, I'm going to cover today only. Okay. So basics of income tax. Uh, in this one of the example, tax is not there from the origin. It is there from the very beginning. As I can say that tax is not a punishment. It is a civilization. How I can say that is, it was only for the good of his subjects that he collected taxes from them. That as the sun draws moisture from the earth to give is back as a thousandfold. That means even the sun collect the tax. So tax is not a punishment. It is there from the civilization itself. It is there from the very beginning, even from the king, from Maurya time, all those densities, all those times, the tax is there. The concept of tax is first is there from the Arthashastra. It's the first origin that we can see. Okay. Then why taxation? If you can read one time, you can understand very well. And why taxes are levied to provide welfare activities, all those things. Just read it from the one time that you will understand. There are two types of taxes. One is direct tax and indirect tax that I have already discussed. So remember what is, I'm going to define what is direct tax and indirect tax from your study material. The incidence and impact fall on the same person. What is incidence? Incident is nothing but burden, on whom the burden will fall. On the burden is going to fall on the same person. For example, if my income tax, I'm going to pay the tax. The burden is on me, and impact is also going to be on. Incident is nothing but burden. Okay, remember it's a burden. Okay, the burden and impact is going to fall on the same person. Whereas an indirect tax, incident and impact fall on two different persons. Two different person is nothing but here in the indirect tax, you are going to have supplier and recipient. I'm going to explain this topic detailedly when I'm going to talk about when I'm going to teach you indirect tax. Okay, incentive is nothing but burden. The burden impact of indirect tax is going to tax on different person. In direct tax, assessee himself bears such taxes. For example, it is my income tax, then I'm going to pay the tax from my income. Yeah. If it is indirect tax, the burden is going to pass on to the different person. It is levied on income. As I said, income tax, it's a taxable on income. It is not expense tax. It is an income tax. It is taxable on the person. Okay. Next one, levied on goods and services. Whereas direct tax is levied on the person, indirect tax is levied on goods and services. Direct tax, the best example is income tax, and one more best example is wealth tax. It is also one of the good example of direct tax. And indirect taxes, we have the GST, customs, etc. And important thing, remember from MCQ point of view, direct tax is progressive nature. What I said, progressive nature. Progress is nothing but if my income is 10 lakhs, I'm going, for example, it is for the assumption sake. If my income is 10 lakhs, I'm going to pay the tax of, for example, 1 lakh. If my income increases 20 lakhs, then my tax is going to be 2 lakhs. It is just an example. Don't say the exact calculation and just don't blame me again. So it's just an example. If my income is 10 lakhs, my tax is going to be 1 lakh. If my income is going to increase from 10 lakh to 20 lakhs, my tax is going to be 2 lakhs. So like that, it's a progressive nature. I think it is nothing but progressive nature is nothing but higher the level of income, higher the level of tax. Okay. So depend how, as soon as you increase your income, then you're going to increase your tax as well. It is a progressive nature. Okay. Direct tax is always, remember, direct tax is always progressive in nature. Whereas indirect tax, it is a regressive nature. Regressive nature is nothing but all person are going to bear equal rate of tax on goods and services consumed by them, irrespective of their liability. So even if you're going to buy one chocolate, or even if you're going to buy 10,000 chocolates, I mean, with for one chocolate, how much you're going to pay the tax? The same tax you're going to pay, even if you're going to pay those number of taxes. I mean, those number of chocolates you're going to buy. Not like direct tax. Indirect tax is regressive nature. Direct tax is progressive nature. Okay. Indirect tax, it is useful to promote social welfare by checking the consumption of harmful goods or sin goods. In sin goods and all those type of goods, indirect tax are levied more. Okay. Those type of, just remember, as of now, direct tax are progressive nature, indirect tax are regressive nature. As given in the example as well, higher the income, higher the tax. Lower the income, lower the tax. All person paying the tax on consumption of the goods. You're going to pay the tax on consumption of goods and services. Okay. When I'm discussing the class in the beginning, I said Article 265. Article 265 has given the power. No tax shall be levied or collected except by the authority of law. Who can collect the tax? Who can collect tax? Only Government of India can collect the tax. Who has given the power to the government? For government, the Article 265 has given the power. It is from the Constitution that I have taken. Okay. Article 245. Article 245 is nothing but Parliament may make laws for the whole of India, part of territory of India. Parliament and Parliament is going to make the law. And whatever the laws passed in the Parliament, that we are going to read. For example, Finance Act 2025. Who has passed the Finance Act 2025? Next 1st February budget is going to come in the near days. So in the budget discussion, the Parliament is going to decide what are the tax that are applicable to us. They're going to discuss the Finance Act. Later, it is going to be applicable for us. As of now, the Finance Act 2025. Okay, I'm writing here. Finance Act 2025 is applicable for our exam. Okay. Section Article 123. When Parliament is recessed, the President has the power to promulgate ordinances. In emergency cases, during the national emergency or so state emergency, the President has direct role. He can make law. He make law. President has power to promulgate ordinance. He can pass the ordinances. Okay, as per Article 20, Article 123, Article 123. Just one further Article 270. All taxes, duties except specified shall be levied by the central government, distributed between union and state governments in the manner specified in the President or through the recommendation in Finance Commission. The Finance Commission has decided that all taxes, whatever the taxes that are collected from the people, how it is to be distributed among the states and everything, it has been specified in the Article 270. Nothing much, just remember from MCQ point, they may ask one question, that's it. And Article 271, just read. Article 246, read with Schedule 7, divide the subject matter of law. Article 246 has divided the Indian list into three types of lists. We have the union list, state list, and concurrent list. Just I'll explain in a brief what is union list and what is state list and what is concurrent list. Union list is nothing but only the central government has the power. For example, in on some of the acts on income tax, it is a tax of income tax. Whole of India is going to take the decision. Parliament is going to take the decision. The central government has exclusive authority to take the action on union list. And state list is state list. For example, agriculture income. Agriculture income is not taxable. But who said like that? I mean, who has the right on agriculture income, on the land and everything? The state has the exclusive right. For example, concurrent list. Concurrent is nothing but the state government and the central government both has the authority to pass the laws. Okay. And remember this entry number 82. Okay. From the MCQ point of view. Entry number 82 says tax on income other than agricultural income. Okay. And when agricultural income is taxable on entry number 46. These two lists, just remember. Okay. As of now, I think it's clear. Okay. I have discussed about direct tax, indirect tax from your study mat. And I have discussed you about the union list. The three types of list that has given below. Next, in the chapter 1, okay, this I'm going to discuss tomorrow, annual amendments and everything. Section what I said, the income I have displayed before also. Income of the previous year of a person is charged to tax in the immediately following assessment year. Income of the previous year of a person. Previous year is nothing but 25, 26. Okay. What is assessment year for us? 26, 27. Okay. And who is person? Person is individual, HUF, AOP, BOI, AJP. All this comes under the definition of person. Okay. I hope it is clear. So income of previous year of a person is charged to tax in the immediately following assessment year. Okay. If I earn the income in previous year 25, 26, then I'm going to tax in 26, 27. But there are some exceptions to it. What are those exceptions? These are going to be studied in the charging section. Charging section is the heart of the income tax. When we have to levy the tax, all these things are given in the charging section. So it is the charging section. Okay. The charging section says income of the previous year of a person is charged to tax in the immediately following assessment year. As I said in an example, 25, 26. For example, Mr. If, as I can see, for example, Mr. X is there. Mr. X is going to earn the income on 25, 26. Then he has to pay the tax in 26, 27. This is what we have discussed so far. Okay. I'm going to give an example as well. For example, I have started my business on 1st August 25. Then what is going to be my previous year? I discussed previously also. If I am started my business on 1st August 2025, what is going to be my previous year? Is my previous year always on 1st April 2025? Huh? My previous year is always not going to be 1st April 2025. Remember from the MCQ point of view and uh, knowledge point of view as well. If my previous year is always my previous year is not going to be from 1st April 2025. It may change. When it can change? In case of newly started business, my previous year is going to be changed. It is given in your study mat as well. Just now, if you read, you can understand well. Business or business or profession being newly set up, beginning with the date of setup of business and ending on 31st March. For example, in this case, the example that I said, for example, you're going to start a business on 1st August 2025, then what is going to my previous year? My previous year going to be 1st August 2025 to 31st March 2026. This is going to be my previous year. In all the cases, my previous year is going to be 1st April 2025 to 31st March 2026. But in case of newly formed business, the business which has started, for example, I'm started on 1st June, then it is going to be previously is going to start from 1st June 2025 to 31st March 2026. I hope it is clear. Okay. And I'm going to discuss charging section. What is the charging section? Is said the previous year, and if I earn the income in previous year, it is going to tax in next year. The next year is assessment year. In some cases, instead of assessment year, we have to give in previous year itself. That means the income which I earn in the previous year, that is taxable in the previous year itself. What I said, I'll repeat it again. Generally, in previous year income, for example, in the previous year, if I earn the income of 10 lakhs, I'm going to pay the tax in next year. Next year, I'm going to pay tax for this 10 lakhs. But in few exceptional cases, the previous year is going to be taxed in the previous year itself. What are those exceptions? Those exceptions are given in the charging sections. Sometimes they may give this question from the examination point of view, the 7 marks, they can ask it. There are 5 exceptions to it. What are those 5 exceptions? I'm going to discuss line by line. Okay. Income of non-resident shipping business. Income of non-resident shipping business. For example, if non-resident is going to earn the income, he has shipping business, then he has to pay the tax in previous year itself. All these cases, we have to earn the income. We have to pay the tax in previous year itself. Okay, you got it. Income of non-resident ship. If a person has non-resident shipping business, is going to pay the tax in previous year itself. And income of a person who is living in India either permanently or for long period. For example, I am the person, I'm going to live USA for lifelong. I'm not going to come, intention to come, but I have in the income. But however, I'm not, for example, if I'm going to pay the tax in next year, then what already next year where I will be? I will be in the USA. So what the law says? The law says, Bhaiya, that means you student, you said you're living permanently. That means pay tax now itself. That's what the government says. The income of a person who is living in India permanently, they have to pay the tax in, not in assessment year, they have to pay the tax in previous year itself. Okay, I hope the second point is clear. Okay. Next, third point is income of bodies formed for short duration. Formed for short duration means, for example, one festival comes Ganesh Chaturthi. In the case of Ganesh Chaturthi, the festival is around a period of 15 days or some days. It is period formed for short duration. For example, for the Ganesh, for to celebrate Ganesh Chaturthi festival very grand. For example, a group of 10 people has come together and they celebrated, they have collected the money. After collecting money, they will conduct a number of programs. They'll bring some celebrities as well to sing. And after that, they are going to conduct a number of events. From the events, they have in, for example, they have, from the event, they earn the income of 20 lakhs, for example. Okay. If they earn the income of 20 lakhs, after that, after the Ganesh Chaturthi festival, they're going to be, it is going to be disbursed. Okay. The group is going to be disbursed. What the law is saying? For the short duration, for the short duration cases, you have to, as soon as the event is completed, you have to pay the tax. Okay, the law is clear. This is defined under section 174A. Next one, what is the fourth point? Income of a person who is likely to transfer property to avoid tax. For example, I am Mr. X, I am Abbas. I am who is, I mean, the property is in the name of me. Hmm? To escape the tax liability, I'm transferring the property. I'm transferring my property to some other name, some other person, Mr. Y. I'm transferring my property in some other name. In these cases also, the the tax liability is not on assessment year. The tax liability is going to be on previous year. Okay. For example, as I discussed, next point I'm going to discuss income of a discontinued business. In case of discontinued business, in there are some there are some type of businesses which cannot be continued for lifelong. I mean, for example, I started a business in 25, 26. You think that every business will run for the long term? No, not every business is for the long term. Some businesses may discontinue. In type of such discontinued business, you no need to look for what is previous year, what is assessment year. As soon as you discontinue business, you have to pay the tax in previous year itself. You no need to look for the assessment year. So if I summarize all these things, what I have said you in this all those points, income of previous year generally taxed in the assessment year. But what the charging section 4 says, the charging section 4 says, in the some of the cases, you are going to pay tax in previous year itself, not in the assessment year. What are those cases that you're going to pay tax in previous year? In case of non-resident shipping business, you're going to pay tax in previous year. In case of person living in India permanently, you're going to pay tax in previous year. In case of short duration, you're going to pay taxes in the previous year itself. In case of person who is likely to who is likely to avoid tax, for the purpose of avoiding tax, you're going to transfer the property. In those cases also, you're going to pay tax in previous year. In case of discontinued business also, you're going to pay the tax in previous year. I hope you got the clarity. Till now, what we have discussed about the I have discussed about difference between direct tax and indirect tax, and I have discussed about some of the sections which they can ask you from MCQ point of view, and I have discussed you some list as well. Then after I have discussed you definition of the previous year, I have discussed about the definition of assessment year. Then in case of newly formed business, what is going to be previous year and what is going to be assessment year. Then I have given you exception to the previous year. These are the charging section exceptions. Tomorrow I'm going to discuss about the definition of the person and what are the capital receipts, what are the revenue receipts, and all those things. And remaining portion I'm going to discuss what is total income, what is gross total income, and rates of taxation. Probably I'm going to start in next class. Okay. If you guys have any doubts, you can ask me. Otherwise, I can leave the session.